Changing an oil in an '03 Honda Civic. First, you got to elevate the car. We have a trailer that we can pull them right into. Puts them about 12 inches off the ground. Then you open the hood. Pull the hood release inside the car and prop the hood up. This particular car has a hood prop here. It goes into the hole. Then you should pull the dipstick, loosen, take this cap off. That lets air in and the oil drains faster. You need a pair of pliers sometimes to get that off. This particular car, the oil filter is a 4622. That's our number that we use. Service Champ is the brand of filters that we use, but you go to your local Walmart or any place and look up your year, make, model, inch and size, you will find the filter. I like to wear gloves because I do this all the time and I don't want used oil on my hands all the time. I'm going to set the phone down for 1 second. Put my glove on. I'm just going to wear one glove now because I'm holding the phone. And you climb under the car. And here's the view from underneath this particular car. Here's the oil filter. You can see that. Kind of blurry. I happen to know that almost all Hondas are 17mm wrench. Use a wrench or a socket. Doing this with one hand. You can see where the drain plug is in this particular car. It actually says engine oil right here. So you don't pull a transmission plug or something like that out. You know where it's right like that. You drain the oil. And you take a look at the washer that's on here to see if it looks good. This one, it's okay. Good rule of thumb. You probably should change them every time, but this one looks brand new from last time. I'm not going to worry about it. If you have to get it off, I take a little razor knife and kind of pry it in there and pry it off. If you go to a auto parts store and tell them the year, make of your car, they can give you the right size washer. Probably keep one in stock. And when the oil's all done, while the oil's draining, if you like, you can loosen the filter. I happen to use these pliers for most of my cars. You can get these at a Walmart or auto parts store. You know, I do a lot of cars, so this is a quick, easy way of doing it. There's also, you know, different size cup wrenches like this that you can buy, but that works for most cars. When it's done draining, put this back in. Drain plug. Tighten it up. You know, get it fairly tight. If the drain plug comes out hard all the way, the threads could be screwed up on the drain plug. Most drain plugs are made a little bit softer than the drain pan, so hopefully if it's something strips, it's the drain plug. So you'll need to replace it if it comes out hard all the way. At least replace it next time you change the oil. It's not uncommon on the Hondas for that. People over tighten them and they strip out. I let the oil drip from the filter after I loosen it. And then go ahead and take it down, unscrew it all the way. It's best for the car to be a little warm but not super hot, because then it's really hard on your hands. But you want the oil warm so it all drains out. And then the new filter, you want to put some oil on here. However you get it on there, put new oil out of the can, that's good. I just usually rub it against the old filter and get some oil on there. And then it wouldn't hurt to check the base up in here and wipe it off, just to make sure there's nothing stuck on there. You always want to look and make sure the old gaskets on the old filter, because sometimes they stick up there, and that would be a mess. If you double gasket it, it would end up leaking out. And it might not leak out till you're driving for a while and get the pressure built up. So that would be a real mess. And tighten it. I can generally just tighten it with my hand. I take some brake cleaner. That's what I use to get the loose oil so it's not dripping out in the parking lot or the driveway when you're done. And it makes it a little easier to tighten the filter, gets all the oil off of it. If you're not strong enough to tighten it that way, then you'll have to get these cup type things and tighten it with that. You don't want to tighten it with those pliers. You'll wreck it. Then you pull the dipstick all the way out. Get yourself a funnel. I have an assortment of them. Sometimes on the cap it tells you what oil, or it does say in your manual. This particular car calls for 5W20, and I have 520 in here. And you pour it in slow, watch it, make sure it doesn't run out. And most Hondas take anywhere from 3.5 to 4.5 quarts. So your best bet is to probably just put about 3.5 in there. Then before I start, I check it to make sure it's not too low. You don't want to run it when it's more than about 1.5 quarts low. It can make a light come on. It's right in the middle of the hash marks there. I'm going to go ahead and just put a little bit more in. And pull the funnel out, let it drip a little bit. Then you want to put the cap on before you start it, because oil will splatter out some cars, especially at Toyotas. And some cars actually don't run right unless you put these back in. Then you go ahead and start it and let it run for about 30 seconds or so. That's all you need to get the oil pressure up. This is ready to start. My partner will start it. So I'll take my glove off. And put washer fluid in the car. You usually put washer fluid in the car while it's running. While it's running, it's a good idea to quick check underneath to make sure nothing's pouring out. Like if you double gasketed it or something, it would be running. It could be running out. Let it sit for as long as you can. A good 30 seconds to 2 minutes. Wipe your dipstick off with a paper towel. Stick it back in here. This one is still about, I know it's hard to see, but it's still about 2/3 of a quart low. I usually keep them about 1/8 of a quart low, because sometimes they rise when the car sits for a while, or when the oil warms up. So it needs about another 1/2 quart. Wipe the dipstick off again. And that's almost perfect, just below the full, right in those hash marks. Those hash marks usually represent about 1 quart. If it's at the bottom, it needs almost 1 quart. If it's at the top, it's full. Most cars can run up to about 1/4 of a quart over, or 1/2 quart over, but I would avoid that. Put the cap back on, make sure it's snug. Not too tight, the next person won't be able to get it off. That's all there is to changing the oil on a 03 Honda Civic. And most of these engines are all the same. Goodbye.